obviously diversity matters, representation matters, and telling stories about race matter, but also seeing these amazing characters not speak about race in any way, but see them do what they do. And then ultimately, when I walked into the scene, it was like 4 Black people in the scene, right? And it was just a beautiful moment, I think, because I've been doing this a long time and haven't seen that much.
I'm a Verizon engineer. We built our 5G nationwide so millions of people could do what they love in Verizon 5G quality. And in parts of many cities, we have ultra-wideband, the fastest 5G in the world. This is 5G built right, only from Verizon.
Welcome to PaleyFest. I'm Chancellor Agard from Entertainment Weekly, and I'm delighted to be your host for this special festival conversation celebrating ABC's The Good Doctor. Special thanks to PaleyFest's official card, Citi, and welcome to the Citi cardholders watching the show. And thanks to the festival sponsor, Verizon, for helping to make this event possible. Today, we are thrilled to welcome members of the cast and creative team of The Good Doctor. Joining us are executive producer and showrunner David Shore, executive producer Aaron Gunn, executive producer and The Good Doctor himself, Freddie Highmore, and cast members Antonia Thomas, Fiona Gubelman, Hill Harper, and Paige Sparra. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you for having us.
I'm so excited to talk to you guys today. I think season 4 has been a really interesting season to watch as a viewer, and I'm curious for you guys, and this question goes out to everyone, how has season 4 been on your end? I mean, I guess what has surprised you, or what has the fan reaction been for you guys?
Who knows who should go first?
Freddie, you go.
We filmed in Canada, so everybody's polite.
I guess now I've chimed in, I guess I should say something, but it's been, obviously it's been, filming wise, it's felt very different this year. But I think I speak for all of us in saying that we've felt, incredibly safe on set too. And I think it's also made us all more appreciative really of the real life healthcare professionals and the real frontline workers who are genuinely doing what we only get to pretend to do every day and only have to pretend to do. And so for me, I think that's changed my perspective on the show and made me even more grateful, I guess, and proud to be playing a doctor on television. It feels more and more meaningful and important.
Wow, what a nice guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know, work on that. It's just...
I feel incredibly grateful that we are filming. I mean, we didn't know if we would be able to do this year. We worked really hard all last summer to try to figure out, how do you shoot a show during a pandemic? How do you keep people safe? Can we even do this? Do we have a season at all? And so the fact that we figured it out and we're able to shoot and we're able to tell these stories, and we were able to kick off the season with those 2 pandemic episodes that really addressed, COVID, because we didn't even know when the writers started, we didn't know what the world was going to look like in September or October when we were going to be filming this. So it was a huge debate in the room of do we even do these stories? Will it be so in the rear view mirror that the stories will feel irrelevant? But we decided to address it, and then we decided to move past it. So I'm just grateful for the fact that we're here and we're midway through this season, and so far, everyone has been healthy and good. So I feel grateful for that.
I think on the theme of gratitude, there's so many people out there that have either lost their jobs or in situations where they have a lot of income uncertainty, and so just the fact to be working with people you enjoy, and having the opportunity to earn a paycheck and earn a living doing what you love is really a blessing, particularly during this time. So I think that theme of gratitude runs through the whole idea of playing a character that represents a healthcare worker, but all the way through to just actually being able to do a job. So it's there's a lot of gratitude there for sure.
I'm curious for David and Aaron. I mean, as the season has progressed and you guys are still sort of writing the season, still in this weird place where things change on a daily basis, what has that experience been like in the writer's room?
Well, we made a decision early on first of all, I made a decision very early on, apparently, to surround myself with people that are better than I am. So thank you, Bill, and thank you, Freddie. Thank you, the rest of you. These people are great. We really do have a great group. We made a decision early on to address it and then move past it. We felt it would be dishonest. It will be dishonest, and it just wouldn't be right to ignore it. It's a show about doctors, and this thing is something, forget that this is a show about doctors. This is something that hit our entire world. This is possibly for the first time in human history, everybody on the planet is experiencing the same thing. That their lives are being changed in fundamental ways, and to just pretend that wasn't going on would be wrong. It was a challenge, as Aaron said, because we didn't know what the world was going to be. It's changed less than I thought it would over the last 9 months, 10 months, 11 months, but we just don't know. So we felt we had to deal with it, and we did deal with it. And I was surprised at the reaction to those first couple episodes. I thought they were good episodes. I was surprised at the emotional impact it had on people in places that I hadn't been expecting, and to a depth I hadn't been expecting necessarily. I usually have a pretty good gauge on that, but there's this, I think we are all a little more devastated by all this than we realize. And it's impacting us in ways that we hadn't anticipated. And so we were pleased to be able to do that. But then we also made the decision to move on because, I didn't want to do a show for a year just about this. I felt it would be just too oppressive. And we are a show about hope. So we wanted to move on, hopefully not too far into the future, but to a place where we're dealing with the stuff that we were dealing with before, and that I'm sure we will be dealing with again. And so we went back to basically doing the episodes we've always done, with the challenge, the regular challenge, the individual challenge, the basic human challenges we all face in our lives in times of crises and otherwise.
Speaking of those challenges, I want to start with the latest bombshell on the show, which is sort of Leah revealing that she's pregnant. So for Freddie and Paige, first off, how did you both react when you sort of read the script and found out that this was where Sean and Leah were heading?
Go ahead, Paige. I feel like I've spoken too much already.
You barely spoke. I think we were both really excited because we love playing Sean and Leah's dynamics out. We have a lot of fun on set exploring them. And, when I first read the script, I reacted pretty naturally and got really excited that she was having a baby. And I thought how they wrote, that storyline was really what's the word I'm looking for? Well, just really realistic, because Sean and Leah are actually talking about where they are in their lives, where they are in their relationship. Is this something that they both want? Is this something that they both can do together?
It felt surprisingly emotional, didn't it, doing those scenes of just like it feels like, especially when you've spent so long with these characters, you can't help but feel those huge life changes that they're going through yourself on some level. It's like it seems somehow miraculous that the character you've played is having there's going to be this baby, and it seems it's very exciting, and feels somehow a little bit, there's like a hint of reality in there somewhere when doing those scenes discussing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's also, I think, nice that it feels, certainly from Sean's point of view this season, and in terms of Sean and Leah, that they've moved past those early days of love that are like fun and the highs and the lows of that, and it's become this more mature relationship that we've explored this season. And I think seeing how Sean reacts to that and how Sean's attitudes towards fatherhood are, and what they are, and the sort of confusion that he feels and is able to express in a way that's unique to him, but also feels incredibly universal. And I think this is a testament to the writing, but it's the idea of being able to capture these universal feelings through a character that is very specific and different, makes it a joy to play.
For David and Aaron, coming into season 4, did you know when you guys started breaking story that this is where you wanted to eventually take Sean and Leah, or did this sort of just come up in the middle of the writing room, I guess?
The specifics of this, we didn't know. I knew we didn't want to tell a story of Sean dating this season. We wanted to, we kind of explore new challenges for Dr. Murphy every season. Just the beginning was just surgery, and then can he be an employee at this place, and then taking care of Dr. Glassman. This year was two things: him as a bit of a supervisory role, but on his personal level, it wasn't just about dating. It wasn't can he date. It was the challenges of being in a relationship and the challenges we all face in a relationship, and his unique perspective and his unique challenges and his unique strengths, and bringing that to a fully formed, fully developed relationship.
I think it's worth saying, just because we've seen someone appearing with Hill, I think all of those moments are trumped on Zoom as we do a read through with this wonderful little person that Hill has around.
He comes and goes. He makes his own appearances. I can never guarantee him showing up. He may record. I'm getting a temperature check.
Safety first. Safety
of
first.
all read-throughs, all the scripts, the best moments come.
He's gonna be a doctor like you.
Well, on the subject of Hill, this brings up a question I had for you, because I think this season with Marcus, we've seen a bit more into his personal life. We've learned a bit more about his family life. What has that experience been like for you to sort of dive into a bit more of sort of this softer side of Marcus that we don't get to see that often?
Yeah, I've loved it, because there was a storyline earlier where there was discussion about us, Dr. Andrews' character and his wife trying to have a baby, and then all of a sudden we have this niece who shows up, and so it's kind of like a fatherly type of
Okay, a little less cute.
We'll come back.
It's every single parent's challenge working from home on Zoom. We're witnessing it right here, right now. We're all dealing with it, Hill.
While Hill gets that sorted, I wanted to move on to Antonia. I think one of the interesting things about this season for me is has been watching sort of Claire's relationship with Lim develop. For you, what has it been like exploring this sort of new dynamic for Claire? What interests you the most about it?
It's been great. It's been great from the beginning of this being on the show. The scenes that I've had with Christina have always been great fun. She's a great friend of mine. So outside of the character world, just like as actors getting to play together, the fact that we have more and more is just a joy. But I think also, from a character standpoint, Claire very much looks up to Lim. She looks up to her, as a woman of color, and who's really bossing it and just doing her job brilliantly. And it's really nice. I think after Melendez's death, for them to have, I think there was a void for sort of both of them. And for this friendship to have blossomed out of that, I think has been so lovely to explore. And just, exploring two women, a friendship between two women, and it not being about another man. And, it's just been so fun. And that has obviously, we've obviously had challenges within that friendship as well. And, Claire being able to recognize that her friend is struggling, and how you go about that in a professional setting is a difficult one. And maybe Lim feels that Claire oversteps, and you know, Claire's big, well, not her big problem, but her big defining feature is that she has a very big heart, and she always wants to help, and she always wants to, as best she can, and she thinks the best way to help Lim is to get involved in, you know, and I suppose to go over her head to make sure that she gets the right help, and that has been tricky, but I think also something that's really, really interesting to explore. But ultimately they're great friends, and that wins, I think, and that has been, yeah, it's been great.
I'm curious because you talked about the fact that she needed to go over her head, or I guess Claire figuring out how to help Lim.
Yeah.
For you, I guess, how do you think sort of, because we've definitely seen sort of how having Claire as a friend can help Lim. I guess, what do you think Claire herself sort of gets out of this relationship, or like how is this sort of helping her grow as a person?
I think that just to have a really great, strong female friend in your life is a really important thing. And I think to have a really wonderful role model as well at work is something I think Claire looks up to Lim hugely. And it, you know, she would love to be the surgeon that Lim is. And just to have her support, to have her there in the work environment, I think is a huge blessing, especially I think as well with they both bonded over losing somebody, a friend, and having that support, I think is huge for Claire. Yeah.
If just as we're peeking behind the scenes, this is a storyline that to some extent happened because of a conversation I had with Antonia towards the end of last season, where we were talking about this episode, and she was expressing some of these thoughts, and we wound up with a couple of moments that I hadn't necessarily anticipated. Well, definitely in one case, and what it led to was shocking. The very final image, I think, last season of the two of you walking away, and we see you from behind, just there's almost no dialogue, and it's like, shall we get a drink? And I'd like that, I think was it. And it just was filled with so much promise and so much hope. And the two of you as friends was something I was really excited about exploring this year. And I've been enjoying that.
Yeah, we have. It's great fun. Yeah, it's been brilliant.
In episode 409, I'm sorry, on the subject of Claire also, I mean, in episode 409, we see her deal with this situation of racial bias in sort of hospital settings. And for David and Aaron, I'm curious, what sort of inspired you guys to sort of explore that issue on the show this season?
I'll take that, Aaron.
Got David.
It's as simple as and as complicated as we want to do stories that matter. We don't want to preach. We never want to preach. We have no interest in doing that. We want to do stories about the impact of our world and the impact just on our individuals within the show. And we want to tell stories that matter. That doesn't mean, as I said, we don't want to preach. We just want to make people, we're hoping. I think you can't change somebody's mind, in my opinion, with a TV show, but you can make them start thinking about things a little more. And I never want straw men. I never want things to be simple. Things are complicated. And I do want to deal with the questions we all deal with and the questions that matter to my characters. And this matters and this impacts them. And so, look, our primary duty is to entertain, but if we're just entertaining, we're wasting our time. And so when we read about these things, we spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to make that a personal story.
Can I say something real quick? What just came to my mind, there was a scene, and I don't know the exact episode number, but we shot a scene where Antonia's character and Summer and Bria are walking down the stairs having a conversation, and my character approaches. And And I just remember as an actor sitting back and seeing these three beautiful, amazingly talented young Black women walk down these stairs having a conversation on a show that's not a Black show, right? Or defined as a show that's all Black cast or whatever, and having a real sense of pride, because this idea that there are these conversations that happen in hospitals amongst amazingly talented, beautiful Black real doctors, showing it on television and not having it have to meet some type of number or what have you. And so, obviously diversity matters, representation matters, and telling stories about race matter, but also seeing these amazing characters not speak about race in any way, but see them do what they do. And then ultimately, when I walked into the scene, it was like 4 Black people in a scene, right? And it was just a beautiful moment, I think, because I've been doing this a long time and haven't seen that much, right? So I think that even race plays, even if it's not part of the storyline per se. And I even saw some comments on social media that were criticizing, saying, "Oh, there's too many Black people on the show," things like that. So it's really people in certain ways notice, I guess, in certain things. And so it's, you know that you're doing the right thing if you're getting haters. So that's good.
I remember, I know what scene you're talking about, Hill, and I remember being struck by it as well. Like when we were editing that episode, and I was like, it's something you notice because it's something that you don't see a lot of.
We didn't cut that scene, did we?
No, we didn't. But I remember being almost more proud of the fact that, to your point, Hill, it wasn't sort of like we weren't making a point. It wasn't because we were doing like a Black storyline or we weren't like underscoring it. We were just playing the scene as you would play a scene. And it just felt really impactful to me that like you just had a scene with 4 Black doctors in it. And it was like, I think like what a hospital looks like.
I think we even took a picture and we were like, oh my God, this is so cool, isn't it? like this doesn't happen very often. 4 working professionals, they're all Black. It's not about that. We're just doing our jobs. Like it's a cool moment. Yeah.
And we haven't heard much from Fiona yet, so I want to jump over to her real quick. This season, Morgan is no longer sort of a surgeon. What has it been like for you to sort of adapt to sort of Morgan's new sort of circumstances in the hospital and exploring this different side of her, I guess?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm so moved by what you guys were just talking about. And I just feel like it's so incredible just in general to be a part of a show that is doing something like that. And as a female also to just talk about the fact that like we have all these incredible, strong female characters. Morgan, one of them, like this is the most intelligent, empowered character that I've ever had the opportunity to play. And it's just really amazing to be a part of something like that, where you have all these strong characters and like you got like with Lim and Claire, it's the female friendship there isn't 2 women competing over a man. It's about just these strong females. And to be a part of a show that has all of these characters like that. And then also off camera, the fact that we've, like before I was on The Good Doctor, over all the years that I'd worked in the industry and all the directors I'd worked with, I think I'd worked with 4 female directors total. And then now that I've been on the show, we have like almost half of our directors are female. Mm-hmm. And to be a part of something that is just so inclusive on screen and off is just amazing. So I'm really glad that you brought that point up, Hill, just because it got me reflecting on that and got me emotional about it. So thank you. But to talk about Morgan's journey this season, it's been really interesting for me, just because being a surgeon was such a part of who she was. And then to now be on this journey where she has to kind of pick herself back up and say, okay, well, now that this one thing that I worked so hard for, this dream that I had is gone, and to see her overcome that and like the strength that she has as a person to make the best of the situation has been really It's been fun to play because we all know what that's like. You guys talk about universal themes and things, emotions that we can connect to. I mean, we all know what that's like to have loss in our life, loss of our dreams and relationships and people. And so to get to see someone who loses something and then rise up and rebuild her life has been a really cool storyline.
And then also, I mean, another cool thing for Morgan is also sort of this exploring her dynamic with Park, with them becoming roommates. What has that been like, sort of getting to do more playful things with Will on the show this season?
It's been a lot of fun. I've always enjoyed the banter that I've had with Will. I mean, Will's a friend, a dear friend, and he's so sweet. And so it's always really lovely to get to work together. And then just this season, all of our banter stuff, it's just been so much fun. And I always enjoy getting to do the comedic stuff. So that's when it's written so well that you just get to go to work and play and have fun. It's nice. And yeah, I've really been enjoying it.
And also to bring David and Aaron into this, I'm curious. I mean, we've seen Park and Morgan's dynamics sort of evolve over the season. Can you sort of preview for us where they may be heading in this back half of the season?
Ooh.
Where do you
exactly
think
where
going,
you think
Chancellor?
Answer enough, I guess.
Okay.
It's really fun what I think we're going to be seeing with the two of them.
And now that we have Hill back, I did want to return to our question, just talking about we got cut off, about digging a bit more into Marcus's personal life and family life and what that's been like for you.
Yeah, that's been great because my character is the only character on the show that I think wears a wedding ring. I'm not sure if Richard's character ever wears his wedding ring or not. I'm trying to think. I'm not sure, or maybe he doesn't take his real one off. I'm not sure. Or maybe he doesn't even have one. I'm not even sure. He wears his wedding ring, and we don't get to see a lot of home life, for most of the different characters. So to have a niece who shows up on the scene in the hospital, it provides the opportunity to show two different sides. So within this hospital setting where Dr. Andrews is pretty buttoned up, right? But at the same time, to be able to play the more personal side that your family member, somebody who you love, that maybe you even kind of see as a father figure to her, and certainly a mentor, at minimum as an uncle. It's just a wonderful opportunity. So I've loved doing it. Summer's a wonderful young actress who's fantastic, and it's been great to work with her and to be able to play that. So it's been really cool.
I'm curious, because given your background, having gotten your master's in public administration, gotten your law degree, and then switching over to acting, I'm curious, did you sort of relate to Mark's storyline with his niece in any way, with helping her sort of figure out what she wanted to do with her life, and her realizing, oh, maybe being a surgeon isn't what I want to do. Time for me to figure out what else is to do. And
I think sure, but I feel like that's a question that all of us ask ourselves, right? I don't think it always has to relate back to education. I think it relates back to purpose, and it's like I think many of us always are asking ourselves, what is my purpose, and why am I here? And just because I studied something, or just because my parents told me I should be this, or just because my friends think that, or I get love because I do this, or favor, I love that exploration, because ultimately people, I believe being unreasonably happy is your birthright, and it's your ability to figure out how to get there, agnostic of other people's projections of fear on you. And I think that was explored really well, right? Because she was saying that, with the little stone that's a heart, it's like, you're projecting so much on me, and that's not even what I want. And that's a beautiful, courageous thing, to see someone take a stand to go and do it and say, I'm going to do it no matter what. And so many of us, I think, end up living lives that we weren't necessarily meant to live because we didn't have the courage to take that step. So I think seeing a character do it, particularly a young character, it's pretty encouraging. It's encouraging to anybody, me, and I think it's inspiring. I mean, Freddie directed this wonderful episode, and I haven't seen it, so he's seen it. So
you hope it's wonderful. The scenes were wonderful. You were both wonderful in it.
I hope that he didn't mess it up. That's what I'm trying.
No, they were both. I was gonna say there was these beautiful scenes with you in episode 10, and then I didn't chime in because I thought it would like draw attention and make it seem like I wanted to talk about directing, which was not at all the point of it. But
Not you, Freddie.
Well, that was my next.
No, now that's like really self-indulgent. No, but my main point that I did want to say was that seeing the two of you together, there's a scene on the rooftop and there's a scene in the ER. And it was such a joy. They were two of my favorite scenes in the episode. And the two of you are so great together, and just the arc even in that episode of Andrews's journey and everything you were speaking about, Hill, of acceptance of someone else and I guess how to support someone and encourage them, and at the same time know when to let them do their own thing, and that kind of fine line of pushing when people need to be pushed, but knowing when to step back. I loved your scenes together.
Well, I wasn't going to ask about Freddie directing. I was going to ask the rest of the cast, though. I mean, what is it like having Freddie as a director, or even just having another actor as a director?
It's brilliant. Fred's an amazing director, and we feel wonderfully lucky. I mean, Fred's an amazing person and also so generous as an actor to work with, and then to have him direct us as well. I mean, first of all, I'm just sort of in awe because I don't really know how he does it. Having to be in a scene, think about what he's doing, but also watching us. It's the multitasking is kind of mind-blowing, but just so much fun. And because Fred is such a great actor, he knows exactly how to talk to actors and how to get the moment out of us, and how to give us the space to play and find something, and to it's just an absolute joy.
Well, thank you. It makes it easier that Sean doesn't look at people all the time.
That's so true.
Because then I can look slightly away and be trying to watch someone else in the scene, and it doesn't feel like I'm not giving people what they need and require in terms of eye contact. So that probably helps. It's also just, I mean, hopefully you can tell that like we all get along so well, and it's such a lovely group, and the crew are amazing, and it's never really, it feels like a collaboration every day, and that extends to when I'm directing or when David directs, and it just feels like this wonderful group all working together towards a common goal.
I mean, Page 410 was a big episode for Leah with this cybersecurity issue. I mean, what was it like for you to have such a spotlight storyline, and what was your favorite aspect of it?
Oh, it was so fun. I think there's not one particular thing that was my favorite. It was pretty challenging for me because it was the first time I kind of got to step out of exploring relationship dynamics and kind of explore Leah's work environment, and to be able to rattle off tech jargon like so many of you all do with medical jargon. I was feeling a little of the pressure because I was like, okay, I have to show up. I'm on a doctor show. This is my moment. But that was so fun. And Freddie and I had so much fun trying to get into Leah's mind with it all. And, to speak on him as a director, he does that incredible balance of making you feel like you're very capable of having creative insight, and but then also knows when to kind of navigate you and kind of can generously tell you, what you need to do in the scene without hovering. And I really like to lean on that because I always feel like I'm in such good hands when it comes to acting and being directed by him. So I felt a little less of the pressure because it was just me and Fred, and we just felt like all the parents went away and we were like, ooh, what can we do here? And it was so fun. And it was so energized all the time. Like we were like, I don't know, I felt like we were, you know, just like bouncing off the walls, but still very grounded and professional, of course.
The parents being gone. No, it's funny though this year because the writers join on, the writers are usually on set, and it's wonderful having their input, and everything now is done over, you know, they sort of watch remotely and offer input remotely. And so it does feel weirdly quiet, especially when directed, like the very first scene that Paige and I did. And it was just like the two of us in the room, and it was like, okay, I guess like, let's just see what we do. Yeah.
Yeah, and he let me just watch behind the monitor. So it was so fun to like do the scene and then run to see what it looks like. And I just felt, I can't imagine learning from any other show in person and cast right now. So that was just an amplified version of that, you know. So
David's a really good director too. I feel like the shift.
Same vibe. It really is though. When David does direct, it's the exact same vibe of that. So yeah.
It doesn't sound like it. I'm hovering
so well, and he knows us as actors so well because he watches it, and he can come over with just like such a like one word and just give you so much with that word and gives you such clarity. So it's really fun when he comes up to direct because it's just so.
You guys are nice. Thank you.
So I wish I could emulate that about David. His like pithiness and able, like as you can probably tell, I mean everyone has been very kind to me, but I probably spend like twice as long as I need to if I used better words and shorter phrases to express a point, whereas David will just say something in one sentence and say all he needs to say, which is admirable.
Now I feel like I'm just going to go on for about 15 minutes.
So to start wrapping up, we have a question from festival sponsor Citi, which is, what are some of the biggest takeaways and life lessons each of you have learned from interacting with and viewing life through Dr. Sean Murphy's unfiltered and honest lens?
I'll go first since everybody's thinking. I think just I think the answer is implicit in the question. It's the unfiltered and honest. It's the thing we stress is the lack of judgment, you know, and the honesty. We all put on masks. I'm a slightly different person right now than I am when this is over. You know, I hopefully am not just. I mean, I try and portray who I am. I try and be honest and reasonable. But there's a certain thing you do when you're interacting with your children, when you're interacting with your spouse, when you're interacting publicly, when you're interacting at work. It's a slightly different mask we all put on. And Sean doesn't do that. And there's something to be said for that. There are things to that, but there's also something to be said for that raw honesty and lack of judgment. He just wants to learn. And there's no defensiveness to it. That's the thing I think I'm now striving to achieve in my personal life more of just, if I don't know, don't be ashamed and just ask. If I don't understand, ask. Be open to looking foolish, for want of a better word. And he just comes at life and wants to be a better person and ask the questions he thinks he needs to do that.
For me, it's the takeaway is no matter who you are, no matter where you come from or what your perspective is, you add value. Everybody has value to add in some kind of way, and no matter what the scenario, what the circumstance.
I think for me, it's that we're always growing and learning, and we always have further to go. You know, I think it was a sort of the thought that, you know, a character like Sean Murphy could come into our world and that he would be learning from us and we'd be teaching him. But actually, I think the main takeaway from the show is that we're all constantly learning from him, and he's constantly holding a mirror up. And we're, as characters, we're all having to look at ourselves and our behaviors and what we do and the way that we're developing and learning ourselves. You know, I think that's a huge takeaway from the show for me.
Awesome. Paige, you want to add?
Honestly, that everything that everyone had mentioned is literally, and I hope that doesn't make it sound like I'm taking the easy way out, but it's just, I'm yes-anding all of you all, because I often find myself in my real life taking on those lessons every single day, even at 31. So it's always refreshing to see that on screen somehow, to reflect relationship, you know, dynamics with yourself and in all the environments, and especially through Sean's eyes. It's just so rewarding and challenging in itself. So
in terms of the simplicity, I think the celebration of like the little things in life, I feel the writing on the show through the eyes of Sean makes us able to celebrate these little achievements, these small things that sometimes we just take for granted, and that Sean sees as, and are for him, bigger milestones than maybe we, you know, most of us are aware of on a day-to-day basis. And I think it's also, you know, to what David was saying about Sean not immediately judging people and starting a genuine dialogue and coming from a curious place. I think it's a time that can feel very divisive. And this isn't a show about division, it's a show about bringing people together. And I think the conclusion from that is that we are all more the same than different. And Sean is different and everyone is different, but ultimately there's something that does unite us all, and there's a shared experience that we're all going through. And I think that's proven in the way that people can identify with Sean.
Beautiful answers. I'm proud to be part of this show.
Thank you all for joining me today, and thank you everyone watching for joining us for this special PaleyFest conversation with members of the wonderful cast and creative team behind The Good Doctor, which airs Mondays at 10 p.m. on ABC. Thank you to PaleyFest's official card, Citi, and festival sponsor, Verizon. And you can learn more about the Paley Center by visiting paleycenter.org. Thank you guys so much, and take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.